How's it going, everyone? I'm Donovan, and in this video I'm going to talk about the book Made to Stick by Dan and Chip Heath. So, like I said, in this video I'm going to talk about Made to Stick. And this book is best for those who are interested in marketing and getting ideas to spread and stick. The difficulty to digest is very low, it's very conversational, a really easy read. Anybody should be able to get through it and pick out the main ideas. So for the key insights, this book, Made to Stick, is basically just about spreading ideas and what makes ideas stick in our minds and what attributes ideas have that are more likely to stay around. So they kind of frame the book around this acronym of success, and each of the letters stands for a different point and a different idea. So for this, I'm just going to kind of go through the different points that they talk about. The book is really light, easy to read. There's a bunch of examples. There are some kind of workshop-ish type things that explain things. And let's just jump into it and I'll go through the different points of success they talk about. The first idea is simple. If we can keep ideas simple, they're easier to remember because you don't have to keep as much information in your mind. So if you're trying to craft an idea and you want people to be able to remember it, you want to keep it very simple. And one way to do this, they talk about a couple different things, but one way to do this is to kind of relate it to other things that people already remember or have associations for. So for example, instead of kind of describing all the attributes of a fruit, and you say, it's this shape and this color and this and this and this and this, you can do something like, say, red banana. It's like a red banana, and it kind of shortcuts a lot of the information. It's much more compact because you already have all the information for banana, then you're just layering another piece of information on top of it. So by keeping it more simple, you are able to kind of communicate ideas more effectively. Now, this nuance is something that's important to understand because there's this idea in the book of the curse of knowledge or of mastery, which basically says that as you get really good and really well versed in a subject, you want to talk about the nuance, you want to talk about the details. But to get people to actually remember it, for it to stick in their mind, they need an easier version to kind of latch onto in the beginning. Now, as people develop expertise, that's something else, like you can get more details. But if you just are looking at what it takes to have someone remember an idea, you want to keep it very simple. Now, the second concept is unexpected. And unexpected information helps catch people's attention. So it doesn't mean that the entire thing, your whole message needs to be unexpected, but if there are pieces of unexpected, then that helps draw people in and want to learn more. They talk about some different ideas for how to do this, and clickbait is kind of one of the good examples, right? Where it has an idea and it gives you some information and it's a little bit unexpected and it's a little bit of a mystery, right? Like you're still getting some things, but it's enough to draw people in. So having some unexpected piece is a good way to get attention, and then you can deliver more of the message, which makes it more likely to stick. The next concept that they talk about is concrete. And basically the more real or tangible an idea is, the easier it is to remember because you can create a really good concrete visualization. So one of the examples they use is kind of the idea of razor blades in candy, right? You can very clearly imagine what that is and what kind of consequences that would have. So that's an idea that has stuck around, even though there weren't really any cases of that, because it's so easy for you to visualize and see and imagine exactly what it is. So as you're creating ideas, the more concrete and tangible you can make an idea, the easier it will be for people to recall it. The next concept is credible. So if your idea is credible, it's more likely to stick, and some of the ways to do this are stats or some credentials that people are actually able to test in real time. Basically having some sort of support for the idea to make it seem more plausible and realistic also makes it stick better. Because if you don't think an idea is real or you can't really understand how it works or what it is, you're not going to remember it. So the example they use is of a doctor who was worried about ulcers or working on ulcers, and he wanted to prove that he had an idea of how to cure it. And so he gave himself an ulcer and then cured it to show how it worked. And that's one of the ways that you can kind of prove credentials, is if someone can actually test the thing themselves, if they can actually see the idea in action, That is a good way to make the ideas stick. The next concept is emotional. A message that appeals to emotions is better than one that simply is just a purely logical set of facts. If you can get people involved emotionally, you can get them to remember the idea more. Right? We go back to the candy and razor blades thing. That's an emotional topic because it causes fear or anxiety around these kids having razor blades in their treats. That's something that's really going to resonate and stick. Another good example of this is sales, right? In sales, you're taught to use benefits over features. You're supposed to use the language of what does it actually mean for the person. And that's more likely to get you some emotional buy-in than just talking about the features, right? You don't want to talk about how this thing is black. You want to talk about how it's sleek and how it makes a good impression or something, right? These are tangible benefits that are more likely to elicit an emotional response. So whenever you have an idea that you want to stick, if you can tie that idea into something emotional, then that's going to have a better chance of staying with people. The final thing they talk about are stories. And stories are basically, ways to share information that logically makes sense. It's much easier for us to follow a story than a huge set of facts or figures or bullet points. If you have a way to turn your idea into a story that's tangible and clear, then you're going to be more likely to remember it. And the example they use is Jared from Subway, right? The story of there's this guy that's overweight, he does this Subway diet and loses a bunch of weight. That's a clear story. So stories are all about building connection. And the ways that the kinds of stories that kind of fall into sticky patterns are ones about creativity, connection, or challenge. These kinds of stories tend to elicit a little bit more action because we really like to be able to see, again, these ideas in action. And a story shows us a way to actually do these actions, right? It tells us what someone did and how the idea relates to us. So using stories is another good way to make ideas stick a little bit better and make people more likely to take the type of action that you want to see taken. So all in all, Made to Stick is a really easy to digest book with very clear points. It has some extra workshops, like I said before, to kind of help you break down the ideas and really understand them well and apply them to some of your own stuff. So if you have any interest in how ideas spread or what makes them sticky or what makes people remember things better, this is a good book, and it's good if you have an interest in marketing or anything along those lines. Made to Stick also, beyond kind of the useful factors, just kind of unravels a little bit of what makes ideas sticky regardless of what else is going on. So even if you don't have an interest in particularly using the information for your own, means, Made to Stick also shows kind of how ideas stick in general. So if you're just interested and you don't want to use it to further a cause, but you just want to know what makes ideas more likely to stick, that's another reason that this book would be a good choice. Other considerations, usually I have some more stuff to throw in here. For Made to Stick, it's a pretty straightforward book. The only thing I can really think of is that some of the points are fairly simple, so all the examples and extra detail and whatnot may be a little bit of overkill. You might get the concept fairly quickly, and it might be a little bit slow and repetitive, but besides that, the book is very straightforward and really outlines things in a way that's clear to understand. All right, so now for the applicable content that I like to throw at the end of each review. 1. What ideas do you want to be stickier in the world? 2. How well do you communicate each of the following in your ideas? Simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, stories. 3. Which attribute comes to you most naturally? Which needs the most work? So, all in all, I think this is a pretty good book to pick up if you have interest in the topic. I think it's useful to kind of know what makes ideas stick. Maybe it's not your primary mission in life to share information and ideas, but pretty much all of us are sharing ideas in some form or another. So, having a couple extra bullet points or ideas for how to make things a little bit more resilient or stick in people's minds a little bit better is pretty useful. That's all I've got for this video, so as always, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want me to cover, throw them down in the box below. I'll get to them as soon as I can, and I will see you next time.
You can check out more content at howtohappy.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos. We've also got a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook that you can check out. Reflect, take action, and enjoy life. See you next time.